It's a chilly Thursday evening in late autumn, and the soft glow of lamplight spills across the living room of a modest home in a quiet suburban neighborhood just outside of Denver. The air is crisp, with the faint sound of rustling leaves outside, signaling the change of seasons. Inside, everything feels calm, like one of those rare moments when everything is in place. The kind of calm that always seems to fool you before life decides to throw you a curveball. Meet Ethan Lawson, late 30s, a software engineer with a comfortable job at a tech startup, a loving husband to his wife, Jenna, and a father to their 3-year-old daughter, Mia. By all outward appearances, Ethan has a pretty solid life. A good job, a beautiful family, the American dream in full swing. Ethan and Jenna have been married for 6 years now, and like most married couples, their relationship has had its ups and downs. But recently, things have felt off. Ethan can't quite put his finger on it, but he feels it. A quiet, almost imperceptible distance that has crept between them. It's subtle. Small things at first. Jenna being distracted, spending more time on her phone, a little more irritable than usual. It's nothing drastic, but Ethan notices it, and it nags at him. It's the kind of thing that keeps him up late at night, lying awake next to his wife, wondering what's really going on. Jenna, on the other hand, seems like she's got it all together. On the outside, anyway. She's a full-time nurse at the local hospital, a role she loves, and one that's a big part of her identity. But recently, it feels like there's something brewing under the surface. She's been distant, cold even. Sometimes, when she comes home from work, she'll drop her things at the door, barely acknowledging Ethan or Mia. She'll walk straight to the bedroom to change, often without saying a word. It's the kind of thing that makes Ethan feel like he's living with a stranger. Tonight, though, as Ethan sits on the couch with his laptop open, trying to focus on a project for work, he hears Jenna's car pull into the driveway. She's home early. It's a rare occurrence, but when she steps through the door, there's no smile, no warm greeting, just a tired sigh as she slumps into the living room. "You're home early," Ethan says, looking up from his laptop. He tries to sound casual, but there's a knot forming in his stomach. The tension is thick in the air, and he feels it. "Yeah," Jenna replies, her voice distant. She takes off her shoes and tosses her bag onto the kitchen counter, not bothering to look at him. "Had an early shift today." Ethan watches her move about the kitchen, opening the fridge, taking out a bottle of water, but she doesn't make any effort to engage. It's like she's on autopilot, lost in her own thoughts. He tries again. "You okay?" he asks, keeping his voice light, though inside, he feels a weight pressing on him. He hates this feeling, the feeling that something is wrong but not knowing what. Jenna just nods, still not looking at him. "Yeah, just tired." She pauses, then adds, "I'm going to bed early tonight. Got to be up early again for my shift tomorrow." Ethan watches her retreat into the bedroom, the door clicking shut behind her. He feels the shift, the silence settling in between them like a thick fog. They've had their share of disagreements, but this feels different. He can't remember the last time they shared a quiet evening together. No long talks over dinner. No late-night Netflix binges. It's been weeks, maybe months since they had a real conversation. The kind where they actually connect, not just exchange pleasantries. A sigh escapes him as he looks back at the glowing screen of his laptop. He tells himself that it's nothing, that it's just stress. Work, life, everything piling on. But something about Jenna's distance eats away at him. That night, after putting Mia to bed, Ethan lies next to Jenna, trying to drift off to sleep. He can feel her next to him, but it's like she's a million miles away. It's not the first time he's felt this way, but tonight, it hits harder. The silence between them is deafening. He wonders, not for the first time, if it's all in his head, or if something deeper is going on. But as he drifts into a restless sleep, the question lingers. The next few days pass in much the same way. Small, subtle signs that something isn't right. Jenna's distracted. She's more irritable, snapping at little things. She's been coming home late from work more often, and when Ethan asks about it, she brushes him off. "Just a lot going on at the hospital," she says. But Ethan can't shake the feeling that it's more than just stress. One Friday evening, as Ethan picks up dinner for them from a local restaurant, he gets a text from Jenna. It's a simple message. Late again. I'll be home after 9. He doesn't think much of it at first. He's used to her late shifts, but as he sets the table for dinner, a thought begins to gnaw at him. He tries to ignore it, telling himself that he's just being paranoid, but deep down, he knows something isn't right. When Jenna finally walks through the door later that evening, it's like the last thread of normalcy in their relationship snaps. She's distant. Not even a hello. Just a brief, sorry I'm late. As she walks straight past him to the bedroom, her phone clutched tightly in her hand. Ethan's gut churns as he stares after her. He follows her into the bedroom, where she's already changed into her pajamas, sitting on the bed with her phone. Jenna, Ethan says, trying to keep his voice steady. What's going on with you? You've been so distant lately. Is everything okay? Jenna looks up, her expression unreadable. There's a brief silence before she finally responds. I told you it's work. It's just been a lot. Ethan shakes his head. It's more than that. You're not the same. You've been shutting me out, and I don't know why. She doesn't answer right away. Instead, she looks at her phone, almost as if avoiding his gaze. Ethan's frustration starts to build. He's been patient, but this isn't just about work anymore. Is there something you're not telling me? He asks, his voice soft but firm. Jenna finally meets his gaze, and for a moment, the wall between them feels like it's about to come down. But then she looks away again, and the moment passes. I just need some space. Okay? Can we not do this right now? The words hit Ethan like a punch to the gut. Space? From me. Jenna doesn't respond. She simply turns over in bed, pulling the covers around her. Ethan stands there, rooted to the spot, a wave of confusion and hurt washing over him. He doesn't know how to fix this, and for the first time in a long while, he wonders if it's even worth trying. The following days blur together for Ethan. Jenna's distance grows harder to ignore, and his attempts to reach out only seem to make things worse. He feels like he's walking on eggshells. She's always busy, always too tired to talk, too tired to spend time with him. The occasional dinner at the table is awkward. Conversations are surface level, filled with half-hearted comments and forced smiles. Their once natural rhythm is gone, replaced by this cold, unfamiliar air. One night, after a particularly tense dinner, Ethan decides to try something different. He's done pretending everything's fine. He can't keep swallowing his doubts, and the worry that's been building up inside of him starts to spill over. Jenna, he says, setting down his fork. He's trying to sound calm, but his frustration is bubbling just below the surface. We need to talk. Jenna looks up, her eyes flickering with something he can't quite place. Maybe surprise, maybe irritation. About what? She asks, her voice a little too sharp. About us, Ethan wants to say. About this thing between us that feels so wrong. But he doesn't, because he's not sure if he's ready to hear what she might say. So instead, he forces himself to breathe and just lays it out. I can't keep pretending like everything is okay. You've been distant. You've been acting like you don't even want to be here. Ethan says, his voice cracking just a little. And it's killing me, Jenna. What's going on? Jenna stiffens, setting her fork down with a sharp clink on her plate. She avoids his gaze, her hands twisting in her lap. Ethan, please. Not tonight. No, we're talking about this now, Ethan says, leaning forward, his eyes fixed on her. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not just going to sit here and let you shut me out.
You owe me the truth.
Jenna's face tightens, and for a second, Ethan thinks she might just walk out. But instead, she sighs heavily and meets his gaze, her eyes filled with something. Guilt, maybe. He's not sure. I don't know what you want from me, Ethan. I've been working nonstop. You don't know what it's like at the hospital right now. It's crazy, and I'm tired. I'm trying to keep everything together. And her voice trails off, and Ethan sees the tears in her eyes before she quickly blinks them away. His heart softens, but only for a moment. He's been patient, but he can't keep doing this. I'm not asking for you to fix everything, Ethan says softly, but I need to know if you're still here with me. I need to know that we are still worth fighting for. Jenna stands abruptly, pushing her chair back with a loud scrape. She paces across the room, her face flushed. You don't get it, Ethan, she says, her voice thick with frustration. I've been trying to hold everything together, but it's like you don't even see it. I don't need more pressure right now. I need space. Ethan's blood runs cold. Space? He repeats. Is that what this is? You want space? You want out? Jenna freezes, the words hanging heavy in the air. I don't know, she mutters, more to herself than to him. I don't know anymore. Ethan feels his chest tighten, like the air has been sucked out of the room. Jenna, please don't do this. But it's too late. She's already walking toward the bedroom, the door clicking shut behind her. And there he is, standing in the middle of their home, alone with the weight of her words echoing in his mind. For the next few days, Ethan's world seems to spin in slow motion. He goes through the motions. Work, errands, picking up Mia from daycare, but it all feels distant, like he's living in a fog. Jenna still shuts him out, offering nothing but terse responses when he tries to talk. And no matter what he does, whether it's cleaning the house or trying to engage her in conversation, nothing seems to break through the wall she's built between them. It's a Saturday afternoon when Ethan finally decides to take action. He's had enough of the silent treatment. He can't keep living like this, waiting for her to come around. So he does something he never thought he'd do. He takes a chance and checks her phone. Now, before you start thinking Ethan's going off the deep end, let's back up. This isn't something he does on a regular basis. He's never been the type to snoop. But when you feel like you're losing someone, and that person has gone so far as to push you away with no explanation, sometimes you do things you'd never expect. Sometimes you just need answers. He picks up her phone from the counter while Jenna is in the bathroom, and his heart beats harder in his chest. He doesn't even know what he's looking for, but the nagging suspicion that something is off pushes him forward. As he scrolls through her texts, his breath catches in his throat. There, at the top of the messages, is a conversation with someone named Chris. Ethan doesn't recognize the name. The texts are recent, dating back only a few weeks, but the tone is familiar, the kind of playful teasing that's never present in his own conversations with Jenna anymore. Chris, can't wait to see you tonight. I'm counting down the minutes. Jenna, same here. I'll be ready. Just need to get through work first. Ethan's mind races, and he feels the pit in his stomach deepen. He scrolls further, finding more messages. They're flirtatious, suggestive even. His heart sinks as he reads the latest message. Chris, you sure you're not too tired? Because I really don't want to wait much longer. Jenna, I'll make sure to be awake for you. Just need a little time. It hits him like a freight train. Jenna is having an affair. This isn't just about her being distant anymore. This is something bigger, something that's been happening behind his back. He doesn't even hear her come out of the bathroom. Ethan? Jenna's voice is shaky, tentative. She knows something's wrong, but she doesn't know what. Not yet.
Ethan doesn't say a word.
He just holds up her phone, showing her the messages. Jenna's face pales, and for the first time in what feels like forever, she's speechless. If you're enjoying this story, make sure to hit that like button, leave a comment below, and share with anyone who might love a twisty, emotional story like this one. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more exciting content. Now let's get back to the drama. Ethan waits for Jenna's response, his heart pounding in his chest. The silence stretches on for what feels like an eternity. Finally, Jenna's voice cracks, her face flushed with guilt. Ethan, I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did. I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't mean for it to happen? Ethan's voice shakes with anger and disbelief. You've been lying to me, Jenna. For how long? She's still standing by the bathroom door, her hands trembling. I never wanted to hurt you. It's just, I don't know what happened. Things between us. Things between us? Ethan interrupts, his anger rising. You've been having an affair behind my back, and you want to talk about things between us? Jenna, I've been sitting here, trying to understand what's going on with you, but you've been pushing me away for months. And now I find this. Jenna wipes at her eyes, her voice breaking.
Im soruetham.
I don't know what's happening to me. I didn't want this. I never wanted to hurt you. Ethan's chest tightens, his emotions swirling in every direction. He can't keep pretending everything is okay. Not anymore. The confrontation between Ethan and Jenna is just the beginning. Ethan is no longer in the dark, but the truth only seems to make things worse. The air between them is thick with anger, betrayal, and a deep sense of loss. Jenna, standing there with the weight of her guilt pressing down on her, looks like she's about to break. Ethan can see it in her eyes, the mix of regret and fear, but the realization that she's been living a lie, that everything he thought was true has crumbled, makes it impossible for him to feel any sympathy. How could she have done this to him? After everything they built together? After all the years of trust? What do you want me to say, Ethan? Jenna whispers, her voice shaky. I made a mistake, a huge one, but I don't know how to fix it. Ethan's mind is racing. He's been fighting against this feeling, trying to deny the truth. But now that it's out in the open, the floodgates have opened wide. He feels the anger rising in his chest, burning hot. But even more than that, he feels a deep, guttural sense of betrayal. You want me to forgive you? Ethan says, his voice colder than he intended. You think saying sorry is enough? Jenna lowers her gaze, her shoulders trembling. I don't know, but I can't keep living like this either. I didn't mean for any of it to happen, Ethan. I was lost. I don't know where I went wrong. You were lost, Ethan repeats bitterly. You didn't just get lost, Jenna. You made a choice, over and over again. And now here we are. The silence that falls between them is deafening. Ethan can feel his pulse pounding in his temples, his hands shaking at his sides. But something inside him, the part of him that once loved her deeply, wants to understand, wants to know what led her down this path. Who is he? Ethan finally asks, his voice barely above a whisper. Chris, who is he? Jenna swallows hard. She seems to be weighing her options, like she's trying to decide whether she'll tell him the whole truth or continue to lie. But in the end, she admits it, her voice barely audible. He's someone I met at work. We started talking. And one thing led to another. It was stupid. I know that now. Ethan shakes his head, a bitter laugh escaping his lips. Stupid? You're telling me this was just some mistake? You were texting him, planning to meet up with him while we're supposed to be... What? Married? You don't get it, Jenna. This isn't just a mistake. You shattered everything. He takes a step back, his chest tightening. He wants to say so much more, but the words feel stuck in his throat. He's not sure if he's even angry anymore, or maybe he's just numb. Jenna steps forward, reaching out to him. Ethan, please don't leave me. I can't lose you. I'm so sorry for everything. But Ethan steps back again, this time more forcefully. I don't know if I can even look at you the same way anymore, Jenna. You think I can just forgive you and forget all of this? It's too much. Ethan feels like he's drowning. He wants to escape, to get out of the suffocating atmosphere of their home. But he can't bring himself to leave. Not yet. He needs to process everything. Where are you going to go? Jenna asks, her voice breaking. I'm so sorry. Please, Ethan. He turns away from her, walking toward the door. He can't do this anymore. He needs space, he needs time to think. I don't know, he mutters, his voice low. But I'll figure it out. Days pass in a blur. Ethan stays with his brother, Mark, for a while, trying to put some distance between himself and Jenna. It's hard to think clearly when everything he thought he knew has been torn apart. He tries to throw himself into work, but even there, he's distracted. He can't stop thinking about what happened, what's going to happen next. But no matter how much he wants to push it all away, the truth keeps resurfacing. The betrayal lingers in his mind, a constant weight on his chest. And Jenna's calls, her messages, none of them help. She's sorry, she says. She misses him. She wants to fix it. But how can Ethan believe any of it? One day, While he's sitting in his brother's living room, trying to relax with a drink in his hand, his phone buzzes. A message from Jenna. "Ethan, please, can we just talk? I'll do anything. Please." He stares at the screen, his fingers hovering over the keyboard, unsure of what to say. Part of him wants to respond, to try to make sense of this whole mess, but the other part of him just wants to let go. He's exhausted from the emotional roller coaster. But the message doesn't stop there. Another one comes through almost immediately. "I know I messed up. I don't expect you to forgive me right away. But I need you to hear me out. We can't end like this. I'm begging you." Ethan sighs, rubbing his forehead. He knows he can't keep avoiding this. He can't keep hiding from the truth. He has to face it. He owes it to himself. So he grabs his keys and heads back to his house. When he walks through the door, he finds Jenna sitting on the couch, her eyes red and swollen. She's been crying. She looks like she hasn't slept in days. "I didn't know where else to go," she whispers, her voice thick with emotion. "I'm so sorry for everything, Ethan. I don't know what I was thinking, but I need you to understand. I never wanted to hurt you." Ethan feels a wave of anger rush through him, but he pushes it down. He's tired of being angry. Tired of feeling like he's losing himself in this whole mess. "I don't know if I can believe you anymore, Jenna," he says softly. "You've lied to me and I've trusted you. How do I come back from that?" Jenna reaches out for his hand, and this time he doesn't pull away. She's shaking, desperate. "I don't know, but I can't lose you. I love you."
Gibbs Regie.
"I'm not asking for everything to go back to the way it was. I'm asking for a chance. A real chance to make things right." Ethan looks at her, his heart torn. He wants to believe her. Part of him still does. But can he really move forward with her after everything that's happened? Can he forgive the unforgivable? "I don't know, Jenna," he says, his voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know if I can trust you anymore." The next few days are filled with uncertainty. Ethan doesn't know what he's supposed to do, but he knows he can't keep living in this limbo. Something has to change. He can't keep going back and forth, unsure of where his heart lies. Finally, he makes the decision to go to therapy, individual therapy, not couples therapy. He needs to figure out what he wants. And the more he talks to the therapist, the more he begins to realize something. Jenna's affair wasn't just about her. It wasn't just about the betrayal. It was about him, too. He hadn't been there for her. He hadn't seen the signs. And while that doesn't excuse her actions, it forces him to look at the bigger picture. Ethan sits in his therapist's office, hands folded tightly in his lap, his mind racing with everything he's been through. He doesn't know what he's looking for. Maybe some clarity, maybe a way out of this nightmare. But as his therapist, Rachel, speaks to him with calm patience, something begins to click inside him. He's been so focused on the hurt, on the betrayal, that he hasn't stopped to think about his own role in all of this. "Have you thought about what you want, Ethan?" Rachel asks gently, her eyes steady on him. Ethan stares at the floor for a moment before answering. "I don't know," he mutters. "I don't know if I can forgive her, and I don't know if I can move forward with her. But at the same time, I can't just walk away. I'm not that kind of person."
Вечер ночь.
It's not about being that kind of person. It's about being honest with yourself. What do you need to heal? What do you need to move forward? Whether that's with Jenna or without her. Ethan exhales slowly, the weight of her words sinking in. He realizes something. This is the first time in months, maybe even years, that he's really thought about himself in all of this. He's been so wrapped up in what Jenna's done, in fixing their relationship, that he's forgotten to focus on what he needs. "I don't know if I can go back to her," Ethan admits, his voice cracking. "I don't think I can trust her again, but I don't want to just throw everything away." Rachel gives him a long look. "Trust is hard to rebuild, Ethan, but you have to ask yourself, is it worth it?" Ethan stays quiet, the question hanging in the air. The idea of rebuilding trust with Jenna seems impossible, but he knows he can't make any decision until he's truly understood his own feelings. It's time for him to start thinking about himself, to decide if the relationship is worth salvaging, or if he's better off walking away. Later that evening, after another long day of wrestling with his thoughts, Ethan makes his way home. He hasn't spoken to Jenna since their argument, and he's not sure he's ready to face her yet. But when he walks through the door, he's greeted by an unexpected sight. Jenna, sitting at the kitchen table with her head in her hands, sobbing. The sight of her breaks something inside him. For a moment, he feels like he's about to lose everything. His heart aches at the sight of her, but a part of him also wants to scream at her for what she's done. Jenna? He says quietly, his voice unsure, as he stands at the threshold of the kitchen. She looks up at him, her eyes filled with pain. Ethan, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I don't deserve anything from you, but I'm begging you. Please, let me explain. Ethan stands frozen, his emotions pulling him in two directions. The anger he's felt for days now surges again, but so does the empathy he's always had for her. He wants to believe that this isn't who she is, that something can be salvaged from the wreckage of their marriage, but the weight of her betrayal is so heavy. I don't know if I can listen to any more explanations, Ethan says, his voice thick with emotion. I've heard it all before. The I'm sorries. The I never meant to hurt yous. But you've already hurt me, Jenna. You've broken my trust, and I don't know how to move past that. Jenna stands up, walking toward him, her face full of regret. I never wanted to hurt you, she says, her voice trembling. And I never thought it would come to this. I was lost. I don't know how to make it right, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'll go to therapy. I'll do whatever it takes to fix this. Ethan shakes his head, tears welling up in his eyes. How do I know that's the truth, Jenna? How do I know you're not just saying what I want to hear? She steps closer, taking his hand in hers. Because I'm here, Ethan. Because I'm standing here, asking for your forgiveness. And because I love you. I know I've messed up, but I want to make this right. I'm not asking for things to go back to how they were. I'm asking for a chance to rebuild. The words cut through him like a knife. Ethan feels himself softening, but part of him, deep down, still wants to walk away. He's tired of being hurt, tired of trying to fix something that seems irreparably broken. But there's also this part of him that loves her, that still wants to believe in their marriage. He lets out a long breath, his mind racing. I don't know if I can believe you anymore, he says quietly, the vulnerability in his voice palpable. Jenna's eyes fill with tears again. Then let me prove it to you. Give me a chance to show you that I'm serious. Please. Ethan pulls away, walking across the room to the window. He stares out into the night, feeling like he's trapped between two versions of his life. One with Jenna, and one without her. And no matter how much he tries to deny it, he knows that making the decision to walk away would break him. I need time, Ethan says, his voice steady now, but still filled with pain. I can't make any decisions right now. I need time to think about everything. About us. About what's next. Jenna nods, tears streaming down her face. I'll give you time. Whatever you need. I just want you to know that I love you. I've always loved you. Ethan doesn't answer right away. Instead, he walks out of the room, leaving her alone in the kitchen, the silence between them deafening. The following days are filled with a heavy stillness. Ethan throws himself into his work, trying to keep his mind off of Jenna, but it's no use. Everywhere he goes, everything he does, he's reminded of her, of what they had, of what they might still have if he's willing to take the risk. But as the days stretch on, it becomes clear that Ethan can't stay in this limbo forever. He can't keep dragging this out, unsure of where his heart lies. So he takes a deep breath and makes the decision he's going to face this head-on. He calls Jenna and asks her to meet him at the park where they used to take Mia when she was younger. The memories flood back as he walks there, a mixture of happiness and sorrow filling him. He knows that whatever happens here, things are never going to be the same. But maybe, just maybe, they can start over. When he sees Jenna sitting on the bench, looking lost and exhausted, his heart aches. But he knows what he has to do. I've thought about it, he says as he sits down next to her. And I don't know if I can ever trust you again. But I'm willing to try. For us. For Mia. Jenna looks at him, her eyes full of hope. Ethan, you don't know how much that means to me. I'll do whatever it takes. And with that, they begin the slow, painful process of trying to rebuild what they've lost. It's not easy, and it's far from perfect, but they both know that the road ahead is uncertain. The damage has been done, but maybe there's still a chance for them to heal. If you've been hooked on this roller coaster of emotions, don't forget to like, share, and comment below with your thoughts. And of course, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next part of the story. There's still so much more to come. The days that follow the meeting at the park are a blur of uncertainty. Ethan and Jenna have agreed to give things a shot. But as much as they both want to believe that they can fix what's broken, there's an underlying tension between them that's impossible to ignore. They begin counseling, just as Jenna promised, but there's a palpable wall between them. Each session feels like a tug of war, with Jenna desperately trying to prove herself and Ethan. Well, Ethan's still not sure he can trust her again. It's not just about forgiveness anymore. It's about whether or not they can really rebuild what they once had, or if it's already beyond repair. But despite the therapy and the effort to reconnect, the cracks in their relationship are still there. Ethan notices the little things. The way Jenna flinches when he touches her, the hesitance in her voice when they speak, the way her eyes dart away when their conversations turn too serious. He's trying to be patient, trying to let things heal naturally, but with every passing day, the wounds feel deeper. One evening, as they sit across from each other at dinner, another strained, silent meal, Ethan can't take it anymore. He's had enough of the waiting, the wondering, and the uncertainty. He needs to confront the truth once and for all. Jenna, Ethan says, his voice low but firm, we need to talk. Whatever this is between us, it isn't working. I can't keep pretending everything's fine. Jenna looks up from her plate, her eyes wide, as if she's been expecting this moment but dreading it all the same. She puts down her fork, her hands trembling slightly as she meets his gaze. Ethan, please, we've been over this. I'm trying. No, Ethan interrupts, his frustration bubbling to the surface. You're trying, but it's not enough. I've been trying too. But the truth is, I can't go on like this. I don't know if I can ever feel the same about you. The way things are right now, it's like we're just going through the motions. The words hit Jenna like a slap in the face. She recoils, her breath catching in her throat. You're saying you want to give up on us? Ethan doesn't answer right away. His eyes burn with emotion. Anger, sadness, disappointment. But above all, there's a sense of defeat. He's exhausted, drained from the constant struggle. He's tired of wondering if things can ever be the way they were. I don't know, he says, his voice cracking. I don't know if I can keep doing this. Every time I look at you, I see the woman who betrayed me. And no matter how hard I try, I can't just forget that.
Jenna's face crumples.
She stands abruptly from the table, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. I'm sorry, she says, her voice breaking. I know I've messed up. I'll never be able to take that back. But please don't give up on us, Ethan. I love you. I'm trying. Can't you see that? Ethan watches her, torn between the woman he used to love and the woman she's become. He wants to believe her. He really does. But the weight of her actions has left scars that are too deep to heal overnight. Maybe I need more time, he says quietly. I don't know if I'm ready to walk away, but I also don't know if I'm ever going to be able to trust you again. Jenna nods, her face streaked with tears. I understand. I don't expect you to just forgive me, but I'll do whatever it takes to prove that I'm not that person anymore. But as the days pass, Ethan can't shake the feeling that something is still off. He can't ignore the gnawing suspicion in the pit of his stomach. It's not just about Jenna anymore. It's about what's happening behind the scenes, what she might still be hiding from him. One night, as Ethan sits in his office working late, his phone buzzes. It's a text from an unknown number. He hesitates before opening it. When he finally does, his heart stops. The message is simple yet devastating. Jenna's been seeing someone else. I've got proof. Meet me tomorrow. Ethan feels his blood run cold. His hands shake as he stares at the message, the implications of the words sinking in. He knows he shouldn't respond. He knows this could be another attempt to manipulate him, to push him further into doubt. But the temptation to know the truth is too strong. The next day, he meets the person who sent the message. It's a man in his mid-30s, nervous, with the look of someone who's been holding onto a secret for far too long. He doesn't give his name, but he hands Ethan a folder, thick with photographs and text messages. Ethan flips through them, his stomach sinking with each page. There are photos of Jenna, meeting a man, Chris, the same name from the text messages Ethan had seen before. There's evidence of secret meetings, intimate exchanges. The pictures make it clear that Jenna hasn't just been distant. She's been actively seeing someone else. Ethan's world comes crashing down. It's one thing to feel betrayed, to feel hurt by the affair. But this is something different. Jenna hasn't just broken his trust once. She's done it over and over again, hiding her actions behind lies, pretending like everything was fine. He's numb as he absorbs the full weight of the betrayal. The man who gave him the folder stands by silently, waiting for a response. "You don't know me," Ethan says, his voice low and filled with a cold fury. "But I know what I need to do." He doesn't ask any more questions. He doesn't need to. The proof is right in front of him. The man nods and walks away, leaving Ethan alone with his thoughts, and with the terrible, painful realization that his life has just taken another irreversible turn. Ethan doesn't go home that night. Instead, he drives aimlessly through the streets, his mind reeling with everything he's learned. He needs to think, needs to decide what comes next. Should he confront Jenna again? Or is this finally the breaking point? By the time he reaches home, it's late, and the house is quiet. Jenna is asleep, but when she hears him enter, she stirs. She sits up in bed, rubbing her eyes. "You're home late," she says quietly, her voice tinged with exhaustion. "Is everything okay?" Ethan doesn't respond at first. Instead, he walks into the room, his eyes hard, his body tense. He doesn't need to say anything at first. The silence between them is suffocating. "I know about Chris," Ethan says finally, his voice low and full of controlled rage. Jenna's face pales, and her hand flies to her mouth. "Ethan, please, I can explain." But Ethan interrupts her, shaking his head. "No, there's nothing to explain anymore, Jenna. I've seen everything." Jenna opens her mouth to speak, but the words die in her throat. She knows what's coming. She knows this is the end. Ethan takes a deep breath, his eyes never leaving hers. "I trusted you. I loved you. And you destroyed everything. I can't do this anymore." Jenna's face crumples, and she bursts into tears, pleading with him. "Please, Ethan, don't leave me. I'm so sorry. I never wanted this." But Ethan just stands there, his heart breaking but resolute. He knows that this is the only way forward. There's no going back. "I'm done, Jenna," he says softly. "It's over." The days following Ethan's confrontation with Jenna are filled with an overwhelming sense of finality. He's made his decision. There's no going back. He's done everything he can to salvage their marriage, to fix what's been broken. But the truth has shattered him beyond repair. And now he faces the daunting task of moving forward, alone. But Jenna isn't ready to let go. That morning, as Ethan stands in the kitchen, sipping coffee and trying to clear his mind, his phone buzzes. It's a text from Jenna, asking him to meet her. She says it's urgent, that she needs to talk. Ethan feels a knot in his stomach. He knows what's coming, but he's not sure if he's ready to hear it. His mind races as he debates whether he should go. Should he meet with her? Is there anything left to say? Finally, he decides he's been avoiding the truth long enough. He grabs his keys and heads out the door, the weight of what's to come hanging over him like a storm cloud. When he arrives at the park where they once shared countless memories, Jenna is waiting. She's standing by the old bench where they used to sit together after their walks. Her eyes are red, puffy from crying, and her expression is one of desperation. She's holding something in her hand, an envelope. "Ethan, please, just hear me out," she says, her voice shaking as she approaches him. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I swear to you, I never wanted it to end this way. I've made so many mistakes, but I'm not ready to lose you. Ethan stays silent, his arms crossed tightly across his chest, his gaze hard. His heart aches for her, but the wound is still too fresh. Jenna holds out the envelope, her hands trembling. I've been seeing a therapist too. I know it's not enough, but I want you to know that I'm serious. I'm going to do everything I can to make this right. I swear I will. Ethan takes the envelope from her, his hands cold. He pulls out a stack of papers, letters, documentation, and a statement from her therapist. But the final piece of paper makes him stop dead in his tracks. It's a note, handwritten by Jenna herself. As he reads it, the words blur for a moment. His heart races, and a deep sense of dread washes over him. I'm not asking for your forgiveness, the note reads, but I'm asking for a chance to prove that I can change. I never wanted to hurt you, Ethan. You are everything to me, and I am so sorry for what I've done. Please let me make it up to you. I love you. Ethan stands frozen, his hands shaking as he folds the paper back into the envelope. He feels like he's suffocating. The emotions, anger, sadness, confusion, are overwhelming. He wants to scream at her. He wants to throw the paper back in her face and walk away. But there's this other part of him, a part that still loves her, that aches for her and wants to believe that things can be fixed. I can't just forget what you've done, Ethan finally says, his voice low but firm. You've betrayed me in ways I can't even put into words. But I need to know something. Why now? Why are you only trying to fix this after everything's come to light? Jenna looks at him, her eyes full of tears. I've been lost, Ethan. I was chasing something that didn't matter, something I thought I needed. But I've realized now what I stand to lose. I can't lose you. I can't lose our family. Ethan takes a step back, running a hand through his hair. The air feels thick, charged with all the unspoken words between them. I'm not the same person I was before, Ethan. Jenna continues, her voice breaking. I know that, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'll change, I swear. I just need you to give me a chance. Ethan looks at her, torn. He knows he can't stay in this cycle of pain, of constant questioning. But he also knows that if he walks away now, he might never have closure. His mind is racing as he tries to come to a decision. Can he really forgive her? Can he forget the betrayal, the lies? Jenna? Ethan starts, his voice faltering. He takes a deep breath, looking her in the eye. I don't know if I can believe you anymore. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. But I need time to figure this out. Jenna nods, tears streaming down her face. Take all the time you need. I'll wait, Ethan. I swear I'll wait. That night, Ethan returns home, his mind clouded with uncertainty. He lies in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of everything that's happened. He wants to sleep, to block out the pain, but the truth keeps gnawing at him. Jenna's words, the note, the promises, it all feels so empty. Yet, there's this lingering part of him that still holds on to the hope that things can be fixed. But the next morning, a phone call changes everything. Ethan is in the middle of breakfast when his phone rings. It's from a number he doesn't recognize, but there's something in the pit of his stomach that tells him he needs to answer. Hello? He answers, his voice shaky. Ethan Lawson? A voice on the other end asks, cold and direct. Yes. Ethan replies, his stomach tightening. I have some information that might interest you. The voice continues. You're going to want to hear this. Ethan's heart races. His mind flashes back to the envelope, to the papers Jenna handed him. He has a sinking feeling that whatever this is, it won't be good. I'm listening, Ethan says, trying to keep his voice steady. There's more to the story than what you've been told, the voice says. Jenna's not the only one you need to worry about. Ethan feels his blood run cold. What do you mean? I think you should meet me. I'll explain everything. It's about Chris, and what Jenna's really been up to. The voice adds before hanging up. Ethan stands frozen in place, the phone slipping from his hand. His thoughts spiral out of control as the implications of the call sink in. More to the story? More lies? What else has Jenna been hiding? His hands shake as he grabs his coat and heads out the door. The storm inside him is about to break, and he knows he's walking into something that could shatter everything he thought he knew. If you've been hooked on this whirlwind of emotions, make sure you like, comment, and share your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the jaw-dropping twists that are coming next. Ethan doesn't know what to expect when he arrives at the meeting location. The voice on the phone had been cryptic, but the urgency was clear. This was about to change everything. He's on edge as he pulls into a dimly lit parking lot, his mind running wild with the possibilities. What could he possibly learn that he hasn't already been through? He spots a man waiting near the entrance of a coffee shop. The man looks out of place, almost too calm, like he's been waiting for this moment his entire life. Ethan approaches, his heartbeat quickening with each step. "Ethan Lawson?" the man asks, his voice low but steady. His eyes are cold, like he's not really seeing Ethan, just observing him. "Yeah," Ethan replies, trying to keep his composure. "What's this about?" The man looks around quickly, making sure no one is listening, then hands Ethan a folded piece of paper. There's more photos, more texts, but these are different. This time it's about Chris. It's about the secret that Jenna's been hiding from him. Ethan scans the photos, his heart pounding in his chest. There's evidence of something far darker than he could have imagined. Jenna's involvement with Chris was deeper than a simple affair. These pictures show them together, but they also show business dealings, secret meetings, and exchanges that involve money. Jenna had been hiding far more than just her affair with Chris. She had been involved in something illegal, something that would put her and Ethan at risk if it ever came out. "What is this?" Ethan asks, his voice shaky now. The weight of what he's holding in his hands is crushing him. "What is all of this?" The man sighs. "You need to ask your wife. I don't know all the details, but I think you're smart enough to figure it out. It's up to you how you handle it." Ethan feels a sickening pit in his stomach. It's not just betrayal anymore. It's a lie that runs so deep, it threatens to swallow everything. He walks away from the man, holding the folder tightly in his hand. Every step he takes feels heavier than the last. He knows what he has to do now. He has to confront Jenna again. But this time, it's not just about her affair. It's about the secrets she's kept hidden from him for so long. Back at the house, Ethan stands at the door, unsure of how he'll approach the situation. He's exhausted from everything that's happened, but he knows that this is the moment where everything changes. He opens the door slowly, his heart beating in his chest. Jenna is sitting at the kitchen table, her face pale, eyes red from the endless crying she's been doing for days. She looks up at him, her breath catching in her throat. "You came back," she says softly, almost as if she didn't expect it. Ethan doesn't answer. He simply walks over to the table, drops the folder in front of her, and watches as she picks it up, her hands trembling. Jenna stares at the photos, her face going pale. She looks up at Ethan, but her gaze is guilty, like she's been caught in a lie too big to escape. "Ethan, she starts, but Ethan cuts her off. "What is this, Jenna?" he demands, his voice firm but filled with pain. "What is all this about Chris? About you and him? And the money?" Jenna's eyes well up with tears as she slowly sits back in her chair, as if the weight of the world is pressing down on her. "I didn't want you to find out this way," she says quietly. "I didn't want to drag you into this. I didn't mean for it to get out of control." "Control? What kind of control?" Ethan asks, his voice rising in disbelief. "You've been lying to me, not just about the affair but about everything. What is this about, Jenna? What else haven't you told me?" Jenna slumps in her chair, defeated. She knows she can't hide anymore. "I got involved with Chris through work. I didn't realize what it would turn into. At first, it was just the affair. But then, I got caught up in something. He asked me to help him with some things, business deals, investments, things I didn't understand at first. But it got worse. Much worse." Ethan's mind is reeling. He had no idea the affair was just the tip of the iceberg. She'd been lying to him, manipulating him, and he feels like he's been living in a nightmare. "You were involved in something illegal?" Ethan whispers, his voice barely audible. "What kind of things?" Jenna looks away, ashamed. "I don't know. Started small, but then I saw how deep it went. I tried to stop, but I was in too deep. I thought I could get out, but by then, it was too late. I never wanted you to be involved, Ethan. I was trying to protect you. Ethan feels his world unraveling in front of him. The betrayal was bad enough, but now, the realization that his wife was involved in something that could ruin them both shakes him to his core. I don't know who you are anymore, Ethan says quietly. His voice is filled with a mixture of pain, anger, and heartbreak. I thought I knew you, but everything about you has been a lie. Jenna's eyes fill with tears, her face crumpling as she speaks. I never wanted to hurt you. I was so scared of losing everything, of losing you, that I made terrible decisions. I don't know how to fix this, Ethan, but I'll try. I'll do anything to make things right. Ethan stands there for a long moment, his body tense as he processes everything. There's a part of him that still loves her, still wants to believe that they can fix this. But there's another part that knows, deep down, that trust can't be rebuilt overnight. The damage is done, and no amount of apologies can take it away. I don't know if I can trust you again, Ethan says finally, his voice cracking. I don't know if we can fix this, but I can't keep living in this lie. It's over, Jenna. I can't do this anymore. Jenna's face crumbles, but she doesn't argue. She knows this is the moment, the end of their marriage. She stands slowly, looking at him one last time, her eyes filled with sorrow and regret. I'm sorry, she whispers, her voice thick with emotion. I'm so sorry, Ethan. Ethan doesn't answer. He simply walks out of the room, his heart heavy. As he steps outside, he feels the weight of everything he's been through. The pain, the betrayal, the loss. But there's something else too, something that feels like freedom. He knows he's not ready to move on just yet, but he's taking the first step. Ethan doesn't know what the future holds, but he knows one thing for sure. He's not going to stay in a toxic relationship, drowning in lies. It's time for him to heal, to find himself again, and to start fresh. The road ahead won't be easy, but he's ready for it. As for Jenna, she's left to pick up the pieces of the life she shattered. She has no one to blame but herself. The choices she made have cost her everything. The road ahead will be just as difficult for her. But maybe, just maybe, she can find a way to rebuild her life. If you've enjoyed this intense emotional roller coaster, be sure to like, comment, and share your thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for future stories like this. There's always more drama to come, and you won't want to miss it.